So thank you for joining me today. I'm so happy to have all of you with me. And this is my topic, storytelling online with young English learners. So I think um, if you also want to organize, a similar storytelling program, for your student, and if they are young English learners, okay, I hope, okay, my sharing will be a useful reference to you. And this is the outline of my talk. I already showed the slide to you, just now in the morning plenary. So let me show you again. So this is the outline of my talk. So if you are interested in this online storytelling program, you also want to, you want us to come to your school, and organize it for your school, I will let you know the detail. I will let you know how. So a little bit background about the online surface learning course that I taught, this year. In our university, there is a course, called surface learning course, and it's compulsory, for all university students. And it's 13 weeks long. So during these 13 weeks, students need to complete some kind of service, as a requirement to complete the course. And there are many different types, and mine, okay, is about storytelling. So what my students need to do in this course, they will need to plan and also deliver storytelling sessions to pupils in local primary schools. So that's what they need to do. That's their service. And one of the greatest challenges of teaching this course is that the students, they may not necessarily be an English education major. So they may not know much about English language teaching. And even they might be, education majors, but they might be, from other, subject areas, maybe like PE or music. So, so in this course, it's okay, that you have no knowledge at all, about storytelling, and I will give the students training sessions before, they start planning their own storytelling sessions and delivering them to pupils and local primary schools. And the goal of this course, I would like to let my students to have a chance, to engage in some meaningful community service. And at the same time, they will have a chance to experience, okay, what it is like to tell stories, to young English learners. And they will learn some useful tips, some useful techniques, and so on. Okay, so what made this year a little bit different from the previous years? I think you guessed it. It's the so the picture, tells you already. So it's the pandemic, right? But although, okay, we are all affected by the pandemic, teaching and learning, had to go online, but some things, remained unchanged. For example, we are still adopting the same reading approach. So how many of you are familiar with shared reading? So are you doing it in your school as well? So maybe, some you can put down your hands if you previously raised your hand. Okay. So I think maybe some of you are already doing it like Elaine, right? So you are also using shared reading in your school. So this is the approach that we adopted because we really want to provide opportunities, for the children to join in, when we read them a story. So we don't want them to just listen passively. And another goal of shared reading, we also want the student, to have a kind of I can read confidence because they are not reading the book all by themselves. They are supported by us, when they join in the story, when they participate in the storytelling. So hopefully, the confidence in, reading will be improved. Another thing that didn't change our goal. So we want our students, I mean the children, the pupils, primary pupils, we want them to have a rich and enjoyable reading experience. So that's our ultimate goal. And another ultimate goal, we really want to foster a love for reading in these children, because we know how important it is, for our English learners, to have, they love reading. They will keep on reading even without, being supervised, without being forced, by their teachers or parents. So we want to cultivate this love for reading. Okay, so now I want to talk about, how we can select suitable books, for our learners, for our English learners. Before I share with you some of my tips, I also want to hear from you. So you're all English teachers, okay? Probably you also have experience in selecting books for your own students. So, so can you click on this link? I know you can. Okay, I'll send you the link. Just a second. Or you can send in the chat box. Okay, so you can share with me some examples of children's books that you think are suitable for young English learners. They make very good books for storytelling. So you can go to, you can click on this link here, and you will go to, can you see this page? So this is a Jamboard, and you can add it, okay? So you can add names. Yeah, so someone's doing it already. So you can click on the memo, the sticky note button, okay, and then type, some names of good children's book that you can think of, and share, your recommendations with everybody. Okay. I can see some good recommendations. Thank you so much. The Gruffalo, smartest giant in town. I know this one as well. Yeah, Paperback Princess. I used it with my students before. I was a secondary school teacher before, so I also used that book, Paperback Princess. It's a very good book for talking about breaking gender, stereotypes. Yeah, the very, very hungry caterpillar. This one is great. Lost and Found. I love this book. I love this book. The Magic Finger. Yes. So it seems that there are some new ones that I have not heard of. Let me check them out. Thank you so much. So you can keep on posting. Okay, so this Jamboard will be kept. I won't delete it. And colleagues, you can come back here and check out the recommendations, from other teachers. I can see some good recommendations in the chat box as well, like the color pencils. Perth here, this one is a real classic. This one, it's very good, very interactive, very good for storytelling. Captain Underpants. The 13th Story Treehouse, yes, Matilda. Yeah, they are very good. They are long. I think they need to be broken down, into like sections. Yeah, and they cannot be shared, within one day, I think. Yeah, but they make very good choices for share reading. We are going on a nature. Okay, so this book I have never heard of. I would check that out. Elephant and Piggy. I love this series. Yeah. Okay. So give me 5. Okay. This series, is a must-have for all primary schools. So thank you so much for your sharing. And so now I'm going to share with you some of my tips. So not really like very particular. So the tips that I'm sharing, actually I'm sharing with you 2 very broad directions, that can guide our selection. So first of all, I think that's the most important thing. Okay, look at this picture here. This person has a very happy, happy mind. So it's very important that you are choosing a book that your children, that your students will enjoy. So making sure that the book, is enjoyable, is a good read. Okay, it's very important. However, because our students, they are second language learners, so you also want your book, to be comprehensible. So you don't want it to be a very frustrating, book, that they have great difficulty in understanding. So at the same time, you also need to make sure, the books that you are selecting is accessible. So the two keywords, okay, remember the two keywords: enjoyable, okay, accessible, okay, they are very important. So I'm going to elaborate a little bit more. So let me talk about what kind of books, will make an enjoyable read. So according to, some research, we found that texts that are inherently interesting, okay, to children, they have three main traits. So namely, coherence, relevance, and vividness. So these are very empty terms, right? So I will give you examples, okay, to let you know what they mean. So first of all, okay, a good children's book that's enjoyable, that children will enjoy, they must be coherent. So what does that mean? So it means, okay, this book, okay, it's easy, okay, for the little readers, okay, to understand. The little readers, okay, will find it very easy to connect the ideas and the text. And it means, okay, the book has very good organization. It's not difficult to digest. And sometimes, okay, if there are some more difficult concepts, maybe the ideas are a little bit more complicated, the book might have very helpful visual aids, like illustration or charts, okay, to help explain, okay, the ideas, so that the little readers, okay, will not find that difficult to understand. So I'm giving you an example, Scary Squirrel, okay, do you know this series? Okay, it's a very lovely series about a very cute, adorable squirrel. Okay, his name is called Scary Squirrel because he's so scared of everything. and his stories are very, very hilarious. And in one of the book, okay, it's a series. So in one of the book called, I think, Scary Squirrel Makes a Friend. So he talks about his daily routine, and also he describes his idea of a perfect friend. And he doesn't do it by writing a very long paragraph. So this picture book writer, it's so clever. So he does it. She does it by giving you a timetable, very visually present everything. So you can see this timetable here. So you know what time Scary Squirrel, wakes up every day, 6:45 a.m. so early. And then his day, typical day is like this. So you can see very helpful visual aids, okay, to help the little readers to understand. And here, okay, this little squirrel talks about his idea of a perfect friend. So he's so scared of everything, right? So his perfect friend, okay, it's very clean, squeaky clean. It has no teeth, so it won't bite him. And also he won't talk. He's very quiet and bubbly personality. So because this perfect friend, is a goldfish. So very lovely. So it's a chat, it's not a long paragraph, very heavy, dense text. It's not like that. So another characteristic of a good children's book, that children will enjoy, they have, relevant content, they have content that children, are very familiar with, or content that the children can relate to. For example, I think probably all of you will have heard of this book here. So can you see this book cover? But anyway, I think you might have seen this book before, or you can search the name. So it's a book, about a little boy, called David, and he, uh, and all day long, his mom keeps saying no to him. So in this book, the children will find, this scene, this situation so familiar. So they are always like being caught misbehaving, but at the end of the day, uh, mom, will still love David. David will still be accepted, even though he has been misbehaving, all day. So let me show you some pages, from the book. So this is the book cover. Okay. And David's mom always said, no, David. Okay. But at the end, mom still loves David, no matter what. And the third trait, I think all of you will agree, a good book, no matter it's a book for children or a book for adults, all good books, they have very vivid description, and so a good children's book, it's not dull at all. Okay, it has many rich details to increase students' interest in reading the story. And the descriptions, okay, are usually very vivid, and they can capture readers' imagination. For example, I haven't got this book with me today. This book is called Jesus Christmas Party, and let me show you the pages. Jesus Christmas Party. So you can imagine it's a book about the birth of Jesus, and this book is is a book, from the innkeeper's perspective. So the story is told, from his perspective, and you can imagine how annoyed he felt, because all night long he couldn't have a good night's sleep, because he was kept being disturbed, interrupted by different people, like the angels, the wise men, so on and so forth. So you can see very vivid description, of his anger. So he jumped up from his bed, and there is a little black cloud, over his head. And this is the page where the angels are saying hallelujah, and this is the little ant surrounded by the angels. So hilarious. But the innkeeper got very angry because he couldn't sleep. Yeah, so very, very interesting. So now I would like to talk about text complexity. So I wouldn't say, okay, that there's a formula, for us to measure, whether the text, it's to measure whether a book is readable enough, for our students. But there is a model, okay, to help us determine whether a text is suitable for our students, especially if you are deciding on a multimodal text, a text that has, a lot of illustration or other multimodal elements. So this is the framework, okay? So you can see there are 3 dimensions, okay, for us to consider. So the quantitative dimension, so this is the dimension that can be measured by a computer. For example, we might look at the word frequency, or we might look at the sentence length, something like that. So this dimension is very quantitative, okay? So you can just, like measure that very objectively. However, what makes our judgment difficult is the qualitative dimension. So for this dimension, it cannot be easily measured, by a machine. We might not have very objective criteria. And this dimension, actually, when we make a decision, in this dimension, it requires a teacher's professional judgment. And I will talk a little bit more about that later. So this dimension includes, aspects like, are there many levels of meaning in this book? Okay, so maybe the text is saying something, but the illustration is saying something different. So the little readers, need to understand, the text is not talking about what is being shown in the picture. So are there many layers of meanings? And also the structure, is the structure predictable? Is it easy to follow? And also some other aspect like how conventional, the language is, something like that. And the last dimension, we also need to consider, our students. So a difficulty of a text can be influenced by a child's personal background or prior experience. So if you are using a book, for example, this morning, team showed us a book about mooncakes, right? So mooncake is something very familiar to local children. But if you are using the same book, for example, in the States maybe, or in the UK maybe, so the children there may not know what a mooncake is, and they might find it a little bit like puzzling. Okay, so what's that, right? So a child's personal background and prior experience, okay, will matter, and also their own perception of the difficulty of the text. So I remember one time my son picked, from the library, he picked a book about nuclear power, and he thought he can understand it very easily, so he picked it. But when I flipped through the pages, I found that the words are very difficult, the concepts are not so easy to understand, but he wouldn't listen to me. He thought he could understand. So sometimes, so I let him, read it, why not? If he thinks, if he was interested in the book. But anyway, so I just want you to know, that the difficulty of a book can be influenced, by a learner's like prior experience or knowledge, and also their own perception. So, as I said, there is no formula in assessing the readability of a text. So please, okay, you need to exercise your professional judgment, especially according to research, for books, for beginning readers. A teacher's professional judgment, it's more important than some automated or generalized system, recommended by the publisher and so on. So your personal judgment is more important. So I'm not going into details, but I just want you can go back to my slide later, to understand the framework. So here are the details. So the framework for analyzing the complexity of text, in a book for young children. So mainly we need to look at, 4 aspects, levels of meaning. So you can look at the guiding question later by yourself, and structure. Okay, what kind of structure? It's easier for little readers. What kind of structure will be more challenging? So you can look at the guiding questions here. And also we need to consider language conventionality and clarity. So for example, the expressions, are they easy to understand for children? Are they idioms, that the children may have never heard of? Maybe there are some cultural references, not familiar to Chinese learners, so you need to consider. And finally, knowledge demands, okay? So you also need to think about whether, our children have enough knowledge, about the topic in order to understand the book easily. So, so that's, for your consideration as well. So apart from that framework, okay, I also would like to highlight, 2 important aspects, when you choose a book, for your children, for your pupils, okay? So first of all, the social aspect, Okay, so if that's a book that can encourage interaction and collaboration, okay, that will make it a very good book, to be used in a read aloud session. For example, I remember one of you recommended the book Press Start, right? So that one, it's a lovely example. Okay, so it's a very highly interactive book. And also you might want to use it, if it can develop positive emotion, values, and attitudes. For example, the paperback princess, right? So it helps us to know that it's not good, to have this kind of gender stereotypes, So I would definitely, recommend you, go for this kind of books, when you need to decide, okay, what books to use in a storytelling session. And also cultural, okay, so it will be good, if we can open our students eyes, widen the horizon. So if it's a book, about global issue, like global warming, that kind of thing, uh, or uh, or media literacy, okay, so there are some children's book about media literacy, for example, so this one, I hope you can. Sorry, it keeps disappearing. Let me read out the name to you. It's called hashtag Goldilocks. Hashtag Goldilocks. You can Google it. So it's a book about, the the safety, of social media, and it's a book intended for young children. So it's I would choose this kind of book because I really want my students to understand, these important issues about the 21st century, how you can be a smart internet user, how you can avoid the danger, on social media. Um, so if you have a chance, you can Google the book for yourself. And finally, two very important criteria, for choosing a book, for shared reading. So first of all, the book should be predictable enough so that the children can join in easily. And secondly, the book should be very appealing so that because when you do share reading, the book will be reread, so it has to be very attractive, appealing, so the children wouldn't mind, reread the book again and again. Okay, so now I will talk about how we can, support our children in an online storytelling session. So let me first of all let you know what the challenges might be, and then how we can address, these challenges with different strategies. So, so for online storytelling, the main challenges, there are a lot, but I have summed up the biggest one. So first of all, you really have to find ways, to support children's understanding of the books. So you need to find ways to support their comprehension. And then secondly, you also need to pay attention to, whether the listeners, the pupils, are they, still with you, okay? Are you maintaining their interest and attention? And finally, I found that many students, told me the same thing. They told me they are not good storytellers. And I do understand, not all people are natural storytellers, but we can still be a pretty good one, if we have good planning and if we have, enough preparation and rehearsal before the online, storytelling session. So that's what I shared with my students. So 5 tips, okay. So these are the tips I share with my students as well. So how they can, support the children's comprehension and how they can, engage the children to make sure that they are engaged, throughout the session. So these are 5 big tips. So first of all, okay, so we want our student to really spend time reviewing the book and practice, their storytelling. So I would tell the student you should aim at providing very fluent model of reading. So I would tell the student, make sure that you don't stumble, make sure you pronounce all the words correctly. And phrasing, I think phrasing is also very important. So you don't just read out a long string of text, without pausing. And also, I would tell the student when you are reading out a sentence, okay, you don't emphasize the wrong part of a sentence, which alters, the intended meaning. So I will let you know, okay. There's a question from an Indonesian teacher. I will talk about that. Yeah. So these 5 tips will let you know how you can support the children, even though maybe the English is not very good. So what can you do? So first of all, okay, you need to provide a fluent reading model, okay, and also we need to think in advance, okay, places to pause, okay, for example, where you will be, asking questions. So it's very important that we try to pause at key points, okay, to ask student, question to keep on checking their understanding. If you know that they do not understand a certain part, you can pause, you can explain a little bit, use other ways to explain, so these are very important. And also plan how you are going to help the students with unfamiliar words. So these requires a lot of planning. So you need to go through the book and try to anticipate what kind of words, will be difficult for the children, and then think about ways, to explain them. So for example, I have also got this book here with me, the polar bear underwear. And so this book basically is about a polar bear that has lost. He thinks he has lost his underwear. So his friend, Little Mouse, okay, try to help him, okay, find his underwear. So you can see they are very sad, okay. So so when I go through the book, I found that I need to guide the student, to notice the details in the picture so that they will understand what is going on in the story. So I need to prepare some questions. I tell myself, when I come to this page, I will ask this question. So what do you notice about this underwear? What does it say? So I guided the student to look at the underwear, and then I invite them to tell me what's being said there, and I can ask them, what do you think the heart means? What do you think the mouse picture means? So what does the whole thing say? Something like that. So you need a lot of planning, okay? Guiding question to help the children understand what is going on, in the story. If the children, they don't understand what is going on, they will lose interest. So that's very important. And also, remember I said that you shouldn't emphasize the wrong part of a sentence, right? So for example, here on this page, you can see a big cat wearing an underwear that says, I love mouse, I love mice. And then the little mouse, upon seeing that, he's so scared. So he said, oh no, it's cat's underwear, run, okay? So when you read out the sentence, so which words are you supposed to emphasize? So I do this kind of practice with my student. So I ask them, version A or version B? Which one is expressing the intended meaning? Which one is able to match, what is really happening on this page? So I practice with that. So obviously the answer is A, okay? So I should emphasize it's cat's underwear, run. So I try to raise my students' awareness. So let me show you an example of fluent and expressive reading. And that's very, very important, in enhancing your students' comprehension. If you read, without any emotion, or you pause a lot when you are reading, it can actually, hinder or makes it very hard for the children to understand the story. So let's take a look.
They croak. Beware, his long, sharp claws. Frog voices fill the swamp. Kitty is not scared. She keeps walking. Kitty reaches a valley with green, grassy hills. Suddenly, wait, what happened? The ground begins to shake. Oh, Vince, you become.
Yeah, shaking. It's like having an earthquake.
Very good, very good.
So you can see, in that way, the teacher, can help make the meaning so much clearer, right? So what does it mean by shake? So you can see the teacher also, use actions, to show what it means by shaking. So a very good example. So another way to help the children understand, the story or to follow the story is to encourage them to make prediction. So you can take a look at how our student here, do this in the storytelling session.
Looked good.
Where are you going to, little brown mouse? Come and have tea in my treetop house.
It's frightfully nice of you, Owl. But no, I'm going to have tea with a Gruffalo.
A Gruffalo? What's a Gruffalo?
A Gruffalo? Why, didn't you know? What do you think the mouse is going to tell the owl about Gruffalo?
And this one is an example of how my students deal with an unfamiliar word. So they prepared something in their slides. They prepared a visual aid to explain the meaning of an unfamiliar word. So I think some of you might already know the story, the Gruffalo, right? So remember the mouse said that one of the Gruffalo's favorite dishes is roasted fox. And then we anticipated that the children may not know what it means by roasted. So we prepare a visual aid to help the children know what it means by roasted. So let's take a look, okay, how they did that.
And his favorite food is roasted fox. Roasted fox. So this is what
A
means
roasted.
fox.
It's a roasted chicken, but we just want to tell you what is a roasted. Just like a barbecue.
That means the fox will be killed and roasted.
Yeah, just like the chicken.
Yes.
So could you hear that? You can hear that, right? So they are using a GIF image, GIF, yes. So they are using a GIF image of a roasted chicken to let the children know what it means by a roasted fox. So they explain very nicely, what it means by roasted. Okay, let me move on. So the second tip, animation and expression. So by animation, I'm not talking about cartoon. I'm talking about we need to animate the story. We need to make the story, as if it's, bring it to life. We need to animate it, and we can animate a story, orally or physically. So when we animate a story orally, it means for example, we make use of our voice. Maybe we use our voice, to denote different characters, or we show, the feelings of the characters. Okay, when we read aloud, we try to denote their mood, their emotions. Physically, okay, it means using like movement, gesture, even facial expression or props to help the kids, okay, understand what is going on. So let me show you some videos. So this is an example where the students, they try to animate the story with vivid emotions.
Terrible tasks and terrible clowns. And terrible teeth, it has terrible rocks.
Oh, where are you meeting him?
Here, by these rocks. And his favorite food is roasted fox. Wow, this is roasted fox.
Oh,
Wow, roasted fox.
no, roasted fox! I'm off!
So you can hear that, right? So yeah,
Terrible
they
cat.
are very, very expressive. And
Terrible.
it helps the children know what is going on. Something scary, is going on. Oh, the buffalo, will eat roasted fox. And then this one sound effect. So this student is making the snoring sound of the dragon. So it's a page, where the dragon, is sleeping with the little kitty. It's a very quiet room. So they're sleeping.
Oh.
Okay, so I blur the children's faces. Maybe you cannot see their facial expressions, but the little children find that so funny, that the teachers are making the snoring sounds. So I'm showing you, how you can animate a story, just by making some silly noises that are related to the story. Okay, so because of the time limit, I cannot, show you all the video. So you have the link of the slide, so you can always go back to the slides, and look at, the other story telling technique videos that I have prepared. So this one is animate the story with actions. And this slide is about how you can discuss the text, with the student, different types of questions that you can ask. And I also give you some examples, okay, of, question that you can ask. And here's a, video to explain the differences. And you can see that whenever we are asking aesthetic question, the children, they have a lot more to say. While if you ask, the previous type, afferent question, you can see that the children might respond less actively. So try to ask more aesthetic questions, okay, if you want your student to be more active in the storytelling session. Book orientation, so I'm giving you some examples that I found on the internet, and also one example from our students. So here, providing support, so we can provide support in two ways. Okay, first of all, we can let the children anticipate the text or model ways to access meanings from the visual information. And also we need to plan in advance, okay, how we can support children to understand unfamiliar language. So here are the tips, and here are the videos as examples. Okay, so some tips, okay. I'm so sorry I don't have time to go over all of them and how we did echo reading in the story.
She is afraid she will.
So obviously I have prepared too much information and I don't have time to tell you all. I also have videos to show you our favorite Zoom hacks. For example, how you can insert yourself in a book by using the book as virtual background. Use annotation function and annotate function, to do matching, word search, or you can use the filters, to dress up as the characters. So the videos are all there, so you can watch them by yourself. Okay, so I have also prepared a sample lesson plan here. So you can click the link, yeah, and then you can have a look at how I go about planning an online storytelling session. Okay, So, and I have got some guiding questions for you to look at. Okay, so for each storytelling session, my students will need to prepare these materials. For example, they need to prepare the PowerPoint or the PDF of the book so that the children can see the words and the illustrations of the book clearly. They also need to prepare a read aloud video of the book so that the children can still reread the book independently after the session. Our students also need to prepare all the teaching resources. For example, the prompts or the link to different kinds of online learning activities related to the story. And finally, we also created a virtual library for the children to access all the read aloud videos and learning activities used in the session. So let me show you the virtual library. So you just need to click on the book cover and then you can listen to the read aloud video. Click on the item, for example, click on the t-shirt because this object appears in this book. Click on the issue and then there will be an online game, related to the book. A game that we created for the children. Yeah. So no time to show you. Yeah, I'm so sorry. So finally, I want to wrap up. Okay, so this is the summary, okay, of what I have talked about in today's session. And the most important thing, good online storytelling is not really that different from good storytelling face-to-face. No online, delete this word. Planning and practice is the key. So if you have any question, you are very welcome to send me questions in the chat box. If your school is interested in, inviting students to go to your school, to deliver online storytelling sessions to your students, you are very welcome to contact me. So this is my email, and this is the time. So we will offer about 7 to 8 sessions in semesters 2 of our university. That will be around February to March, so 2 months. And then we will also help to set up a virtual library with read aloud video and online learning games to reinforce the language focuses of each storybook. So that's what you will get, if you become our collaborator. Yeah, okay. So if you have any question, you can send your question to the chat box and let me know. And if you have no further question, I also would like you to help me with filling in the evaluation questionnaire. Yeah, let me know how you feel about my session today. Maybe time management is not very good because I don't have time to go over everything, but I really want to give you a comprehensive picture about the course, and also I would like you to be able to organize your own online storytelling program, even without me. You have all the information, all the useful information to organize one by yourself. So that's my aim. So thank you so much for joining us today. What if the picture books are not available or rare? Is it okay if I just use printed pics? Yeah, I actually just asked the students to, use some online, reading platform where they can find some good books, for their use. If they cannot find the physical copy, yeah. So yeah, I think it's okay. Oh, thank you so much. You're so sweet. Yeah, thank you, and thank you for your kind words. And I just want to say I really don't have enough time. I wish I had more time, and then I can go over everything, properly, but there's not enough time. Yes, thank you so much. Yes. Don't forget, okay, there are some useful resources that are really good. Yeah, resources about storytelling and also about conducting online story sessions. You can take a look. And here are the references that I have used. And yeah, my acknowledgement. So I really want to thank all these people here. Ebook students made, which app did they use? I think they didn't make any ebook. They simply scanned the book that they will use into PDF. Yeah. Or they just put the scanned images on PowerPoint so that they can show the book very clearly in the storytelling session. And they will also turn their they will also make a read aloud video so that even after the session, the children can still go back to the book. They can still read the book independently. I can show you with the slide. This is a very good read aloud video made by one of us.
Hi children, today we're going to read the book Nobody's Dog by Patricia Angel Klavig. Do you know what is a nobody's dog? I don't know too. Let's try to find out from the cover. First, can you see where the dog is?
So that's an example. And the games, I can show you maybe Buffalo. So I'm using word wall for, I mean, this game is made with word wall. So it's called a game to check the students' understanding of the story. So they need to find Gruffalo's black tongue. So which one is black tongue? This one, right? So the robot has to go to the pictures of the black tongue. So they can consolidate the understanding and also the vocabulary they learn from the book. Okay, so bye everyone. I think it's about time. Thank you so much.